Talk about gold. It's actually, for a change, quite flat this morning, but it's been on a tear. Caught the attention of Ken Griffin, Goldman Sachs upping their target on gold for the end of next year. What are you seeing this morning of interest in the gold price?
Yeah, so as you say, it is about flat this morning. It's come off, but overnight it surged to fresh records, above, futures above, 4,000, and actually Goldman Sachs have increased their forecast for next year to over 4,900. These are sort of unprecedented times for the gold market, but that all comes amid this backdrop of extreme political uncertainty. We're seeing it in Europe with France, and whilst the US government shutdown goes on. So it's partly that sort of haven bid, but also at the moment, with the absence of fresh US data, the market is still pricing in a rate cut from the Fed, but it's difficult for people to know whether that's going to change. Now, that would be positive for gold. So at the moment, the momentum looks set to continue. Of course, I think the risk is that if we do start to get data back from the US, that could shift the picture. And actually, markets are starting to, put those haven bids somewhere else slightly. Again, this morning, we're seeing a rebound in Japanese bonds, and that is what's taken the shine off gold.
So is that the connection? Because what I'm also seeing is the dollar a little stronger this morning. Is it gold down, dollar up? Or is it dollar up, gold down? Kind of which leads?
Well, this morning we're certainly seeing, dollar up, I suppose, as gold stagnates a little. I think there's other reasons for the dollar's strength. It has been a really bad story for the dollar so far this year. And I think attention is now moving from some of that sort of trade uncertainty that was weighing on it. And attention's moved elsewhere. Like I just mentioned, that political uncertainty in France, really, weighing on the euro, and other, in Japan as well, that's going to help sort of support the dollar. And again, in this sort of dearth of US data, there is the chance that actually rate cuts might turn out slightly different to how they're being priced, and that could also support the dollar going forward as well. So I think there's a bit of a recovery momentum there, but also it's taking up some of that haven bid that perhaps is coming from the gold, as you mentioned.
Well, speaking of haven bid, we went through the gold, we went through the dollar story. Let's talk about the tech stocks, because of course that functions as a defensive bid as well. Are we partying like 1999, as Paul Tudor Jones would suggest?
We do seem to just be going from, one high to another. Really quite huge rallies there. We've seen the S&P closed at a record again yesterday, and the Philadelphia Semiconductor Index, is up 6% just this month, since the start of the month. That's really quite astounding, and that's, of course, on the back of all of these deals, in the AI space, and we had AMD, with OpenAI yesterday driving the market. I think the question is how far this goes is everything's being driven by an abundance of news. So if we don't have some news, is there going to be the momentum there to sustain it? And as we were just mentioning, if some of these other uncertainties dissipate from the rest of the market, whether there's still that sort of frothy interest.